Do you know another discussion? Sorry.
Oh yeah, go on.
Tattoos.
Oh.
I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. I like that.
Oh, I don't know. We're gonna ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm sure
that's life.
It's our opinion. What do you mean?
That's life, you know.
Do you know what? I saw this TikTok literally right before I left my house, and you know a trend that's going on TikTok where girls are where people are doing, I'm a Christian girl, so I believe, and then the next slide will be something that's like
different.
Yeah, that from what the masses think.
I've seen that. I've heard of that.
So this girl done one. She said, I'm a Christian girl and I'm not afraid to say it. And then she goes to the next slide and she said something about crop tops, like your body's a temple of love. And I ran to the comments because I love a comment. I love seeing what people think. Yeah, so when I saw that, the comments were bad, as you can imagine.
What, as in people were dragging her for thinking?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about crop tops as Christian women?
The top is cropping, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I'm joking.
The top is cropping is crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm half and half.
Okay.
I say
you don't really wear them.
Yeah, you don't wear crop tops.
It depends on how cropped it is. Like if
there are actually some crop tops that
no, because the crop tops that I've been seeing that are selling on fast fashion nowadays, it's like the top will be cropped already, and then there's holes in the top.
Right.
So it's basically
so it's like a distressed look on top of the crop.
It should just be a string at this point.
Just cover your nipple and call it a day.
Basically, just come out in your bra because that's what you wanted to do.
Right.
So
on my days, I like this topic already.
It really depends on how cropped it is. Like when it's just the ones where you see like
yours is a bit cropped.
Exactly,
this is
like
different.
that. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with that one, but yeah, I do see why the Christian community specifically, why they would have an issue with
the people said your body's a temple of the Lord.
And it is.
Who's the people?
The people, just the people that don't like the crop tops. That's the reasoning behind it.
It is a temple to me.
Of course it's a temple.
Do you know I don't think they're immodest, personally. I just think it's how you wear it.
Yeah.
So like for me, you'll never see my whole belly button and the bottom of my stomach, everything out. Because maybe because my stomach is also not flat. You get like let me be frank.
the low rise is coming back in fashion, and sometimes they be looking good.
You get. And for some babes, like, them having their whole stomach out because it's flat. Maybe this is my problem. Maybe I've been conditioned. But to me, it doesn't look crazy. But for me, I put on me. You guys do whatever the hell you like. But for me, I can never have my whole belly button and the bottom of my stomach out. I think if you have a tiny bit of your midriff out, or it's them type of crop tops that it's only if you lift your hand a little bit that you see it, or like, then I don't think it's that deep. Right. But I think it's when every day, that's it. It's every day your whole stomach is out.
Sorry, I'm not looking because it's fat.
Even when it's cold, crop top.
Every
when it's
day.
snowing, crop top. When
I'm not sure about that one.
When it's just every day, like you don't have any other
clothes. No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I find
it so interesting.
What about we've spoken about it just in general. What about wearing it to church?
I would never.
I'm sorry, that's brazy.
I would never.
Sorry.
But then you know, that begs the question: if you can't wear it to church, why are you wearing it at all? But I don't believe in that anyway.
Yeah, because
some church have a certain doctrine.
How I go to church is sometimes what I wear to like work. I wear like trousers. I don't wear trousers every day.
Right.
Like formal trousers. So that doesn't really.
There's a bit of formality that comes with the dressing, the church dressing that you wouldn't do outside. Like, and some churches have a doctrine.
Yeah. Guys, there was one time I went to church. Yeah.
Oh no.
And I wore like baggy jeans, but I didn't realize like that the jeans were a little more baggy. Maybe because I had lost weight, I don't know. And the top, it wasn't a crop top, but it was one that stops like just underneath your belly button. So I thought, because I've pulled the jeans up, it's fine.
But your whole belly was showing.
Sorry, the belly didn't come out, but like you could see like a little bit of skin. And I'm not gonna lie, like there was my mentor at church. Like I've just gone hi, and him and his wife have looked down and just gone hi.
They're looking at you like, what have you come to church?
They didn't make me feel bad. They didn't even say anything, but I knew that they were like, oh. Like,
did you not notice at this point?
No, I knew because.
But it's like, what can I do?
I just gotten up to go outside quickly, and you know, like when you haven't had a chance to.
Yeah.
So I've bumped into there, and I've gone.
Well,
they've caught me.
They caught me.
I tried to hide it, but not too long.
It's not happening, man.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, crop tops to church.
Wow.
I wouldn't condemn someone and say, you can't come into church if you're wearing a crop top.
Of course.
But it's like that saying, you come as you are, but you don't stay as you are.
I think with time, it's about the development.
That's deep.
No, it's true. That's what.
The first time I heard that, I said that's powerful.
That's the logic that I
Jesus
follow.
sat with sinners. Jesus sat with sinners. They say it as though he became a sinner. I'm like, come on,
and those sinners didn't remain sinners.
They didn't remain sinners.
So let's actually clarify.
So let's come together.
I think the debate with remaining and just changing, like not staying as you are, the actual debate that comes from that is how long then does it take for you to make that change?
And that is personal.
Because that's personal. Do you know what I mean? Like someone can look at someone that's been going to like a church maybe for 2 years and they haven't completely changed, or they haven't had that transition, like turnover that you want them to have, and you're saying that they're still the same.
Still a sinner.
So it's like,
do you know? And the thing
sometimes everyone should face their front.
Face your front for real. And also, when it comes to change, you want that person to have a genuine internal change first,
not because
if they don't
they're
have
scared
that,
of something you will say.
Yeah,
or
like image.
It shouldn't
for
be. You
image,
shouldn't be motivating people to change their aesthetic before their heart changes, because that really is misplaced.
Right.
I remember seeing an argument as well that someone made a point, and they basically said that some people use that argument to just stay the same and not. So they don't have a willingness to change.
That's true.
So the whole it's a journey, it's a process. And whilst I agree with that 100%, I do think we do need to assess. Okay, what are the things that I know don't sit right with my spirit and don't please God, and why am I fighting so hard to hold on to it?
Thank you,
and
darling.
I'm coating it with the title of always, but it's a journey, it's a process. But
that's an easy way to get
convicted about it for 6 months now.
Oh.
6 months ago, the Lord has already told you something about
but
it.
it's still a journey.
But
isn't
it's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a process.
How long will we say it's a journey? It's a process.
Because the whole point of a journey is not staying stagnant. A journey is something that keeps going
because
forward.
some of you
There's a destination. There's a destination to be met. So if you're not doing that
at a red light for too long,
and not the red light,
they're beeping. They're saying hello.
Some cars have even taken. They've gone around you.
Right.
You've been overtaken.
Yeah.
And you're still, it's a journey, it's a process.
That's it. But on the topic of modesty, honestly, I feel like modesty is such an interesting. What would you guys define as modesty? Like if you heard the word, what's your first thoughts when you hear the word modesty? Are they negative? Are they positive?
What the word modesty itself?
Yeah.
To me, it's positive.
For me, it's positive. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I can't imagine anything negative that's attached to being modest.
But that's a good question, because that word is very subjective, because when some people hear modest, they think boring, or like long dresses.
Sometimes they even think pick me. Some go to the extent of, you're pick me because you want to look a certain way. And I think I don't know if I completely agree with this, but modesty also ties into where you carry yourself.
Yeah, it's
not just your dress.
Yeah,
it's just
not
everything
just
as a
dressing,
package.
Yes.
Dressing, it just happens to be one of the things.
If anything, that's the last step. Like that's what shows outwardly from what's going on.
We're in the spirit
in here,
because that's what I was gonna say. I feel like the way that modesty has been taught, the emphasis is always laid on your clothes and like that. But like modesty, if you read the Bible, it starts in your heart, and being modest in everything, not just in how you dress.
It's also part of your character as well. You can have a modest character.
It's about self-control actually, because modesty and just is kind of synonymous with self-control. It's knowing that for instance, you can be this extreme or you could be this extreme, but no, you find a balance. And that's kind of what modesty is. And that's why I feel like modesty is a spectrum, because for some people, some things are immodest. Like for me.
Say it.
Well,
say it.
Speak up, baby.
Sorry if you're going to cry, but for me, I don't believe in having a bikini picture on your Instagram page.
As a Christian woman,
or just in general.
I just think as a woman. Personally, I think it's immodest, because people always say this, but I kind of slightly agree. You wouldn't come on the internet with your pant and your bra.
But
which is basically
you wouldn't put. Yeah, they have. You wouldn't post that.
They started. They've been doing
on your page. Like you wouldn't post it on your page, especially the type of bikinis that are raining at the moment. The one that is the string.
There's holes everywhere.
Is the string and
holes? It's the tiny piece of material.
It's a line. It's strings that is holding yourself together. To me,
it's about to burst.
I don't think it's a discussion that is immodest, in my opinion, because. For a lot of people, it even takes a lot of courage to wear that. Talk less of now is on Instagram.
For real.
I just think it's too much.
Sorry, I was gonna just say it's not to obviously. Like, I think you have to get what we're trying to say to understand what we mean by what Ayo said. It's not knocking out anyone's confidence, or everyone has a journey as to why, and reasons and intention on why they put something on the internet. And I was saying earlier, with intentions, you can never really know someone's intention. That's why it's difficult to comment on certain things. But just from what we can see,
to me,
that's
wild.
the comments you can
like,
make based off that.
Right,
you
If
know?
you want to, just a question to the crowd. If that's a picture that you saw, is the first word that jumps into your mind Christian?
And that's a question for
And
the believers. We're speaking to the believers.
That is my question to the public. And like some people will say, oh, but that's judgmental. I don't think so. I think every Christian has a level of influence and has a witness to protect.
Whether you have a platform or not, or the numbers are there or
1,000,000%. And so
no, you're right. I agree.
I personally think it's not that your praise should say if God, what God cannot do does not exist. I'm not saying that's what
the quotes. There's a picture.
I'm not saying every single picture should be you head to toe long flowing skirt. That's not what I'm saying.
Or your bio should be
Do you
full of Bible
understand?
verses.
That's not what I'm
No,
saying.
stop.
But I'm saying if somebody was to come onto your page, is your witness protected? And that doesn't mean that if you have one at the moment that it's not. I'm just saying that you need to think about it in a holistic sense. Are you protecting your witness by that being the kind of content you put out?
Yeah.
Like, does it give an appearance of evil? Because the Bible tells us to flee all appearances of evil.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it
No,
leads to,
right.
you're absolutely right. Do you know what that made me think of? It leads to a wider discussion of just representation. I think a lot of people, when they hear representation or just being a role model, they run away from it or try to escape it very quickly. But I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I've spoken about this multiple times and I still stand by this. If you call yourself a Christian, it's not even unfortunately. Fortunately,
Yes.
it comes with responsibility.
Definitely.
by default.
And I don't mean to, in saying this, I don't mean to come across a certain way, but there's just certain life choices that you have to make because of the choice that you've made to
Right.
serve the Lord and just be
That's
a Christian.
it.
And
Yeah.
it's just as simple as that.
It's a calling.
And sometimes my brain can't keep up with people trying to argue against that, in a sense where, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I don't have a responsibility. How does that work? It's the same way with every single thing in life. So when it comes to Christianity, which is like one of the biggest and most important things,
Yep.
why is the line drawn
There's
there?
always
With
such a-
work, you represent your organization.
Yep.
With school, you wear your school uniform, you represent your school. Even times when you're outside of your school gates, as long as you're wearing that uniform, you represent
as
your
long as you're on the
school.
school grounds.
You know, so
You're
when
an
it comes
ambassador.
to Christianity, like, and don't get it twisted, us sitting here, we're not the perfect Christians either, so it's not to say that at all, but
Nobody is.
I always have it in the back of my head, whether it's something I'm doing or not doing, I know that I have to represent Christ in everything that I do, and that's just what comes with
That's
it.
it.
And you're not being forced to be part of the religion, but you've made that step, and that step naturally
That's
will
what
come with
comes with it by
responsibility.
default. And you know, I hate that argument and that's something that I was convicted of. Oh, but you know, no one's perfect. It's like you said, it even says in Colossians, we are representatives of Christ. We
That's
are
right.
ambassadors for Christ.
Yeah.
So whether, as I said previously, whether you have the numbers, whether you have the platform, by default, if you call yourself a child of God, there is a responsibility, there's a duty to carrying that light, and that light should also show outwardly.
Definitely.
Yes, of course, it starts in the heart first,
Yep.
but eventually that should show outwardly as well.
Absolutely.
And
By
one
their
thing for
fruits.
me that I'm so conscious of now, this year, that I've really, that's really in my mind, is when I go to certain places, I don't want people to look at me and think, oh yeah, she's just in the crowd. I want people to look at me and think this one is set apart. There's a light, like I can see something different about her,
Yes.
and that's what, as a calling, that
what
all
we're called
Christians,
to.
that's what we're called to. That's a mutual call that we all have. So it's not about, oh, but you know, I'm not trying to come across as holier than thou. No, it's about, with obedience, naturally that follows. That is the
Absolutely.
result of obedience. There's a quote that I saw, you guys know me and my quotes. There's a book I'm reading by Timothy Keller. It's
Shout out to
Counterfeit,
him.
nah, for real, Counterfeit Gods, and it says a changed life, salvation is not a response to a change. Wait, sorry, let me think of it. A changed life is a response to salvation, not salvation being a responance to a changed life.
Yeah,
Ponder on that
that's
one.
beautiful.
When I saw
That's
that one,
beautiful. No, because it's deeper. Like, I feel like I think every Christian or even every human runs away from responsibility in one way or the other. Like, nobody wants to feel like they're this preachy person, and it's not about being preachy, it's just living out your calling. Because like what Ashley said, holiness, I remember holiness, I used to think holiness meant like something, whoa, like so much bigger than what I could imagine, but holiness means to be set apart. That's what holiness in itself, like if you wanted to bring it back to what the definition, like, it means to be set apart in the way that you live your life. So as a Christian, yes, you should be different.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be upset. I don't know. I feel like it's easy to be like, oh, but what are people going to think, and this and that, but it's like there has to be, there should be,
and also not even just people thinking what are people going to think, but also the difficulty that comes with it. And no one says it's not going to be difficult, because at the end of the day, as much as salvation is personal, we're all on a journey. So it's always important to remember that we all struggle with different things, but it's just knowing that there will be growth, and it's something that you're willing to let go of eventually, and not holding on to, and sort of having that. Do you know what I mean?
And the thing on modesty as well, I just think it's a really good witness, like, because I think the reason why it's a good witness is it gives other women, like, because we're women anyway, it gives other women the ability to know that, you know what, I can still be a Christian and do this, or I can still be like, I don't know, so there's so many different, and I want us to be clear that modesty doesn't look one way. So just because some people like to wear the long skirt and, you know, all of that, that's a stylistic choice. There's other people that maybe it's trousers that they wear, but it's modest. I think there's a need to talk about that too, because I think in Christendom and like just Christian community, there can sometimes be this narrative of what a Christian woman should look like. And I don't think it's not black and white. It's not a one size fits all. Like, we all portray. I think what's most important is where your heart is. What are you trying to do with the way you dress and carry yourself? How are you trying to carry, what kind of message are you trying to portray? And like with what Ashley said, same that's why we said modesty is all encompassing. Like, so it's also about where are you going? You know, how are you speaking? Because modest in speech is one that we don't really talk about enough.
My days, yes.
But like, if you're outside always effing and blinding, that one is not modest.
Effing this, F the bus, F the driver,
BS this one,
F. That's not modest either.
Sheets that one.
And like, genuinely, it's not a good witness, because if
your mouth is in the gutter, you need to wash your mouth.
The Bible says, how can blessing and cursing come out of the same mouth? You don't see a fountain that brings forth clean water and dirty water at the same time.
It's impossible.
Can't.
Very impossible.
And that's why modesty is all of those things. Because for me, like, so you can be dressed beautifully, you can look amazing,
but
elegant,
if you open your mouth,
everything is effing and blinded.
Now the weight is not balanced. It's like this. It's slanted. Do you get?
It's not making sense.
Complete.
No, but effing this, effing.
That's not modest.
I wanted to give a personal example too, just so you know it's not coming from a place of judgment. This year we went out for Tem's birthday, and I wore a very mini skirt, and I loved my outfit. And I personally think with my girls, I don't think there was an issue for me to wear it, so I wore it. But I didn't post it on my Instagram for a specific reason, because for me, I know I have a level of influence. I also know that I'm a youth leader, like I'm a youth worker in my church, and there's people that look up to me, and there are people that are influenced by things that I do. And just in general, I just know that there's a witness that I'm trying to protect. So even though when I'm with the girls, I didn't think there's any issue with the outfit. But in terms I know I felt a breeze on my...
Okay.
Yeah. And like... Yeah, I felt it, but like I was like, okay, I can wear it, but I just felt like it doesn't need to live longer than the moment on my Instagram.
I get that, and there's when you were actually talking about the whole bikini photos and stuff, that was actually the thought that came to my head, and I wanted to ask, like, because I'm sure people have this opinion as well, but they think if it's something that you can wear outside, and what you said at the end about you don't want it to live longer than it has to, but some people could say, why did it need to live in the first place?
And that's a very good point.
That's a good question.
Because obviously when I'm outside, I can't control who I'm going to see.
Exactly. Like that's the same with the beach. Bikini photos, it's like, it's another situation with posting it online for like your followers and everyone else to see. But then you're wearing it on the beach. They're also human beings.
Definitely.
Actually, some people can consider that's even worse because they're right in front of you. They're seeing it live in the flesh.
Definitely.
So
and I think
that
my response to that would just be that when I was out, I had a long jacket with me that I was wearing if I was not taking the pictures that we took, and if I was, and when obviously in the restaurant we were sitting down, so to me it was fine. And it was also the evening, like it was like I could, all of those things, not to say that that's the best reasoning to give, and it's not, I'm not trying to justify my decision, but that's just that was just your reasoning
behind it.
I was like, I think making it clear as well, I was with my girls. If we went out and we were with a mixed group of guys and girls, I might have changed my outfit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Just because the wisdom would come into play in that scenario.
Yeah.
But like in this scenario, if I felt okay to go out like that, and I went out like that,
and it's at the end of the day, there's certain things that conviction will come to play and others wouldn't. You know, at the end of the day. Are you enjoying watching or listening to this episode? Of course, the answer is yes. So why have you not subscribed? Subscribe below and like this video if you're enjoying it. Thank you. But you know what? Whilst we're speaking about just modesty, but in the dress sense, I feel like I'm I'm such an example of this. Like in just my growth in the way I dress. It's a testimony, but it's not even a testimony. It's just my journey.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, my journey from like.
No, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, we know.
Guys, please.
No, you
do you
talk
remember?
Yeah, you talk on it. It's not to talk.
It's not even about talk. I'll be honest, I don't even want to talk on it. I just want to mention it. I just want to give thanks to the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Because some of us have come a long way and just like in the way we dress. And I feel like in life, the older I've gotten, my eyes have opened to, my eyes have opened to a lot of things. I feel like there's been growth. I've looked at my past and just certain things I've done. And not to ever make myself seem like I was this rebellious or crazy out. That wasn't even what, like, never to that extent, but there's definitely things I see differently than I used to see before.
You've grown so much.
I've grown so much. We've all grown. Do you know what I mean? In our own ways.
It's growing for college.
Do you get what I mean? And I'm just praying for guidance for that growth to continue because it's so beautiful to see where you're coming from, where you are now, where you're about to go.
Yeah,
you know that I'll beat you with this. Call me president.
Hey, president.
But yeah, like the point I'm trying to make is like I wasn't like in terms of my dresses. And do you know what's so crazy? Sometimes listen to your mums, guys. Listen to your mums. I'll say, do you know? No, listen to your mums. We're gonna say that because there are times where we've spoken about African parents and just some of their downfalls. But when we need to give them their flowers, let's do so. So the same platform we're using to talk about the downfall, I will talk about my mum in the positive. Like that woman been telling me.
Yeah.
You know what she's been saying? Like, why does that need to show?
No,
but it was just.
And you know what is they see, like, imagine they know you. They know my child is so beautiful. Why does she need to dress like?
Why does she think? And I think, can I be honest? Like, again, everyone can have their opinions, but remember, you never know someone's true intentions. So don't argue back sometimes. Yeah, but. My reasoning for even doing it in the first place was never for attention. I promise.
You thought that was cute.
I just liked how it. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the time, when you think of that, that would be your reason to stay consistent in just what you're doing.
But your appetite changed.
But with time, with just growth and
what you thought was cute has changed.
It's not.
Yeah, my definition of cute is not the same anymore.
And that's part of the journey.
If anything, it's opposite. That's not cute to me anymore.
Do you get? And I feel like that's what it's not talked about enough. That when you become a Christian, your appetite does change.
Absolutely.
And it should change,
and that's how you know you're growing. That's how you know you're growing in Christ. That's how, because sometimes we look at it's sometimes hard to look at our journey and measure just how closer we're getting to God. And I remember watching a video on TikTok and someone was like, these are ways to know that you're getting closer to Christ, and one of them is just seeing your growth basically from the things that you used to think was just like this is my lifestyle, I'm not going to change, there's nothing wrong with it, so now looking back and thinking that one I'm not sure.
That was like, you guys answered my question. I was going to ask you guys if like you feel like your style has changed at all as a response to whether it be your walk with God or just in general, like you just don't want to dress like that anymore.
Do you know what? For me, Tem can vouch for this. I think the way I was brought up, I've always just dressed very like covered. I'm very covered all the time. That's also been a preference of mine. And that's why I say modesty is not necessarily a dressing thing because you can be fully dressed, but you're wearing that tight bodycon long because you know that your bum looks great. Do you get? So
and you get attention from it.
Or like, you know, if you have your breast like this, mwah, do you get
packaged nicely, even though it's fully covered, but it's sitting up in this way, like
that's what I'm saying. It's not for me. I've always been a quite like, if you want to call it covered person. I think for me, what's changed is I've understood my body and like how to dress for my body more.
Right, that's another thing
over time, and I'm great, and I know that basically my understanding of what it means to be a Christian, still look beautiful, still look nice, but in your own style.
And I think there's that growth. There's that growth. There's actually growth in understanding that being modest is so beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful, because before, like, I think the mindset was like, oh, like covering up is just old, like why do I need to do that? I'm young. But the logic does not make sense. What does your age have to do with, like,
the way African parents hate, I'm young.
Do you know? No, because
they hate it.
I'm young.
I'm young. No, but do you know what? Somebody said this at a church thing one time, and I said, I agree with this so much, because it has nothing to do with age.
No.
For me, it's always like, why is something on show that you're not selling? When they said that one time, I know for some people that might sound like objectification, but it's the narrative, or like the messaging behind that is that, why must things that you're not readily willing to give out, why must they just be the first talking point or the first thing that people see? Because for me, the reason why I think modesty is beautiful is because it leaves space for people to be interested in your character versus how you look. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even only about nakedness and everything like that. It's just like, it gives space for people to actually know you versus have a perception of you or think of you in a certain way because of the way that you carry yourself. You know?
That's a great point.
What about you, Dash?
Look how I'm looking at it. Do you know what? I feel like I've always been half and half. I feel like I have dressed modestly, but there has been moments where it hasn't been as modest. I don't know if you guys remember, like, I cleared all my pictures on Instagram.
She's the queen.
That was very intentional. That the one that just went anyway. That
just
was
recently.
Yeah, that was very intentional, because I was convicted of the pictures that were on there. And you know, it wasn't like there was a madness on there or bikini pictures. No, there wasn't anything bad. But for me, it was, I'm not gonna go back and forth with God. It's really as simple as that.
Especially when
I've spent a really long time doing that, like trying to justify, be in control, but it's just very much, I just felt the Holy Spirit telling me, these pictures need to go, and
especially when it's a clear message. It's like, I don't even have an excuse, or there's no rebuttal. You know where it's come from. It's from the Holy Spirit.
And if the Holy Spirit knows, like, the matters of the heart, so who am I to now say, oh, but it's not that bad,
but he knows what you thought.
That's what I'm saying. The Holy Spirit knows. So that's why for me, I just cleared everything. And I think within the past, like, couple of months, I've been really intentional with, like, not just where I buy, but what I buy as well. Even when it comes to, like, nights out, going out to eat, stuff like that, like holidays coming up, I'm just very intentional with what I put on my body, because as much as I want to look good, that you can still look good, and as I said, and still be modest,
be cute.
And that's it. And the bottom line is, I just want to please God consistently, not here and there, or I think God will understand, but because I want to wear this. No, it's just, I want it to be a consistent thing.
That becomes a lifestyle.
Right. That's it.
That's
crazy,
man.
I had a question, but it left me now.
Nice.
I was going to ask you a question, because you kind of answered that Ashley's question already. What do you think was, like, the catalyst towards the growth that you have now?
That's a great question.
That's a good question. The catalyst of growth. Honestly, it's not even that complicated. It's just God. It's God, and I feel like I'm in a different space in my life now than I was before. Like, the environment that you surround yourself is very important. And I was going to say, also, of course, the friends you surround yourself are also important, but I don't think there was anyone around me that influenced me to dress the way I was dressing before. I think it was just mainly, like, it's good to take responsibility. It was just my decision to dress the way I did. Like, I had different friends around me even at that time. You guys were my friends. I had other friends. So do you know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't even that. I think it's just genuinely just growth. Like, it's just genuinely having a different mindset and just being exposed to certain things, and just even like my journey on spirituality as well has changed. Do you know what I mean? And that's just come with age, being older, just life experiences as well, and just seeing things for genuinely what they are, and just not being stubborn when God is talking. Like,
Heavy on that one.
That's it.
It's sometimes it's so simple. Like, it's not anything that's complicated. Like, I could sit here and tell you, like, oh, something transformational happened in my life. No,
and that's it.
It really didn't.
It was just,
it was just the journey. Like, again, the journey. There's a that I've always known, regardless of wherever I find myself, I always known that I'm set apart, and I've always known that there's a destination for me to reach. I always knew what the destination looked like, but the journey, I didn't know the routes. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I love the answer. It's so simple, but really it's simple. So, like, it will go over a lot of people's heads. But I think sometimes just as human beings, not even believers, we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Like, we're waiting for God to show us this massive sign. We're waiting for a dream. We're waiting for a vision. We're waiting for
like
someone to come
life-changing
to us and tell us a message.
experience.
Sometimes all it is you taking that first step.
Yeah.
That first step of obedience and letting God do the rest.
That's
like
it.
walking with Him
Yeah.
every day and allowing Him to renew your mind, and then naturally you'll start to see things for what they are and realize, hold on, this isn't actually nice, or this isn't actually pleasing God, or this isn't actually modest. Like how I'm dressing, this doesn't really show that I'm a representative of God.
That's it.
So that just happens naturally, but it does require you taking that first step.
Because
Go on.
I was just because sometimes we're waiting for a voice. Sometimes all of these things are actually said, but you felt uncomfortable wearing what the dress.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we look for signs. Somebody needs to come out and take the clothes off of your body before you say
or you need
The sign was you when you were out, when you were feeling uncomfortable.
because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even feel like, and the thing is, the Holy Spirit is so kind with the way He corrects, because for me, for instance, like if I'm adjusting myself in an outfit too much because I can tell that something is just all the time, I'm like, okay, either tailor it, maybe close the slit slightly, do something, modify the outfit. But like, I don't think it takes somebody coming to have a sit down with you and be like, babe, because even if somebody did that, a lot of us are stubborn and we're resistant to change. We're stubborn to correction. Where what the Lord is actually is like, do you think that my idea of what is good for you?
Right.
That's what the Lord is kind of trying to always tell us. Like, do you want to align your ideals of what is good with mine?
Yeah.
And until you're ready to, then.
And do you know what's so
That's it.
beautiful about just the transition and just, doing the things of the Lord? Like, you know it's from God when, how do I put it? You know it's from God when it's like a natural, like you're just not interested naturally anymore.
Yeah.
Rather than,
Your appetite
I'm still interested, but I need to do this for God. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Like, you genuinely don't find interest in them
you have
anymore.
that
And
desire
do you know
to
what I
not
mean?
do
That's
that.
how you know this is from God and you're on the right path, because it's just a natural desire. Your
So
lifestyle
true.
changes and you love your new lifestyle. It's not like I don't love this life, so I'm just doing it to please God. Like, do you know what I mean? It just comes with everything. Like, you're just beautiful about it. Like, it's just like a nice wholesome feeling that you get. Like, this is my new life and I enjoy it so much. Like, why did I not get here sooner? I remember the question.
Oh yeah, go.
So
Oh gosh.
it's about, what was it about? So it's about you mentioned something about different body types and it sparked something in my head.
Oh, okay.
So do you know where I'm going with it?
I know where you're going with it.
There's this argument or discussion or debate, whatever you want to call it, that people like, some women just say it's not fair that they can wear certain things and they can look more sort of
Modest.
it could look more modest than on other bodies. So is it fair that they should be judged because maybe they have more, like, I don't know, enhanced features compared to other girls that maybe like might be slimmer than them and things like that. Also, I should have sent this prior, but there was a video I saw a while back on Twitter of a woman. She had like a baby dedication at the church or christening or something like that, and she's brought her baby, and her husband were wearing matching attires, and the top of her clothes were basically like, there was cleavage. I don't think it was a bit, in my opinion, it was quite a lot of cleavage, and there was a discussion around it. And I remember asking some of my other girls, and they were like, oh, because she just has bigger boobs, that's just all it is. And in my head I thought, yeah, it's obvious she has bigger boobs, but then I was thinking, because you have bigger boobs, there's just,
You're dressed to accommodate.
you dress to accommodate your boobs,
yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, the question is basically, what are your thoughts on that one in terms of having different body sizes? Because yes, fair enough, it's not fair, but life isn't fair. You know?
I think you answered your question. You dress to accommodate.
I have a lot to say.
And do you know what? I know it's not even to sound harsh.
Yeah.
But I do think it's unfortunate that we're speaking about curvaceous bodies.
Yeah.
That unfortunately that whatever they wear is going to look sexy, or it's going to look more, enticing, if that's the word. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
However, with that being said, again, I'm speaking to my believers. You dress to
No, because
if you're not believing, you're not going to understand things of the spirit.
it's gonna go over your head.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to hear something,
you're not inside the club, you can't hear the music.
This is not.
Do you get? No, it's true.
Yeah, you're right.
When you're in the club, you can't hear the music.
Yeah,
like when you're
you're right,
outside of
babe.
the club, you can't hear the music.
You're right, babe.
Only
You're
those
right.
in the club will know what the
That's a
song
powerful
is.
analogy. You're hearing the noise.
You're talking
but you don't
from
know what it's-
outside the club, you can't even get in.
I can't hear you.
No, facts though.
Yeah,
facts.
but you can get in. It's free.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's free. But once you're
It's a
in, you
free
will
gift.
hear. But if
Yeah.
you're not in, you can't hear.
That's it.
So that's why I have to keep saying I'm talking to my believers.
And I hear you, babes.
You have to dress to accommodate.
Yeah, I think we need to go back to the beginning of what is the goal of modesty. The goal of modesty is to represent Christ well. So unfortunately,
In this context, yeah.
in general, the goal of modesty is always to represent Christ. That's why we're modest in our speech. That's why we're modest in anything that we do, because our goal is not to attract people to us, but it's to attract people to God. So on the topic of body types, is that the same way you're happy that your body is one way and you should be grateful to the Lord that is that way, you should also be grateful in the way that you dress, because like, it sounds harsh and it sounds unfair. I know how it feels because I have big breasts and I have a very small frame. So like, there's certain things that I've joked or even been serious and said, oh, it's so unfair. Girls can wear like these really nice small tops and it doesn't look. And I have this thing that I always say, if I wear a small top now, it looks like I'm feeding the 5,000. But like, that's just the life that I have to.
And it's just an acceptance and just
it,
moving
and
accordingly.
Because what? God made my body this way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's also acknowledging the world that we live in. We live in a fallen world. I'm not trying to be a stumbling block to other people. And yes, people don't want to hear that because they're hearing, oh, so you need to think about men when you dress and you need to think about this. And yes, you do. Because why? Because you're a Christian and you think about your fellow human being. You prefer other people above yourself. And it's not in a way of like you're in slavery or you're in bondage to
or
this
you're
like
being controlled,
or you're being controlled by.
We're called to serve.
It's that you're called to serve. So I'm doing it in gladness and what? Because I can still dress nice and the breasts are tucked away. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah, I can vouch for the whole bigger breast because I've done both. Like my body's gone. Do you know what I mean? It's fluctuated quite a bit growing up, and the things that I could wear again when I was like 22, it was a hard acceptance, but I had to accept that I can't wear certain tops anymore because my breasts have gotten bigger, and I have to accommodate for that. It's just what it is.
That's the life.
It's just what it is.
And you can still look nice.
And you can still look nice.
And that's really it.
I think that's what a lot of people fear is, oh, but if I dress this way, I fear that I'm not going to look as nice, or I'm not going to get the same attention I get. Well, maybe you'll actually get better attention,
and the
right
motive.
attention.
And that's and why is that your motive?
That's
when you got a question. Remember, we're talking about intention. That's my keyword for today, intentionality.
Yeah. Because if we want to talk about modesty in music as well, the music choices, the shows that you watch, it's all about like, you were happy to do the research into J. Cole's latest album, and you were happy to do the research into all the latest albums from the secular world. You were happy to do a listening party, and you were happy to do the research. When it comes to now looking for Christian music, or you're coming to do research into things that will better and edify your life, you don't want to do the research. So because you don't want to do the research, everything is rubbish.
Or even you're not looking for brands that are actually making items
for
that you might actually like.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. Like, we're happy to put and exercise a lot of effort into things that destroy us a lot of the time. But the things that build us up and edify us, we're not willing to do as much research.
To put in the work.
You know, and work into it. But in a relationship that you want to grow, you do the necessary things. And so because
there might be someone at home thinking, oh, but you know, a lot of the reigning trends these days, or the type of clothes that are made are, you know, the holes, the crop tops. Well, stop buying from fast fashion. Like, there are other websites. Yeah. There are other places.
A bit of research can go a long way.
There are other places that use the material that they buy, all of the material.
Fully formed clothes.
From top to bottom.
Yep.
And they use it well.
Yep.
So you just got to look.
And yeah, I know it's not as cheap. So
or even easy to find.
You get?
Yeah.
But there's always an alternative.
Yeah.
There will always be an alternative.
It's so funny actually, because even today I was searching on TikTok. I used the hashtag like Christian outfits. Do you see the Christian outfits? They had corsets.
Oh.
On the hashtag. I was just like,
where's the TikTok shop?
No, I was just searching the hashtag on TikTok because I came across a girl that was wearing a very nice outfit. I wanted to know where it was from, and I saw the hashtag in her video, Christian outfits, and I thought, let me click on that. Let me see more of this. Corsets, ripped jeans. I was like, oh, that's not Christian. Anyway.
Well,
okay. Thank you, guys.
Praying that the Lord guides us all in the decisions that we make, and we will see.
We'll see you on our next episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.